Hello, everybody, and welcome to Cincinnati's Riverfront Stadium for tonight's opening day matchup of the 1976 STRAT baseball as the Houston Astros take on the world champion Cincinnati Reds. And we're ready for baseball here, as I have not done a game in a long time. But guess what? We are going to get it started right now. So give me a second, and we'll be back right after this. And we welcome you guys back to Riverfront Stadium. This is your sports time machine, and I bring you an opening day matchup here between the Cincinnati Reds and the Houston Astros. And we welcome Jack Dawson. Thank you, Jack, for popping up back in my stream. I thank you so much. Yes, it has been a while. I'm trying to get into things right now and see what I can do. We're play a little Stratomatic. We're going to have the computer be managing both teams today. So if everyone is watching, please let me know if you can hear everything. And we're about ready to get to the game. So here are your defensive alignments for the Reds. It's going to be Foster in left, Geronimo in center, and Griffey in right, Rose at third, Concepcion at short, Morgan at second, and Perez at first. Bench behind the plate on the mound is Gary Nolan. In the 1976 season was 15-9, 3.46 ERA, 232 hits, and 239 innings. Stratomatic 1976 was not done in a super advanced manner, so these games are played in advanced Stratomatic on the Stratomatic PC. Here are your Houston Astros lineup. This is again as played. Willie Howard in left leading off, Enos Cabell batting second and third, Cesar Cedeno batting third in center, Bob Watson cleaning up batting at first, Cliff Johnson's behind the plate, Greg Gross at third, Larry Milbourne at second, Roger Metzger bat short, and James Rodney Richard is your pitcher. This is opening day 1976, and let's get to it here at Riverfront Stadium. So Gary Nolan will be on the mound. I'm going to make sure both teams are now comfortably on the computer settings, and they are, and we're ready to roll some dice. So bench ready, sets the sign. Nolan looks, and here's the pitch to Willie Howard. And that is going to be a strikeout on Willie Howard. So Gary Nolan gets his first strikeout. He only strikes out 113 and 239 innings, so definitely not a strikeout pitcher. Here is Enos Cabell. Cabell, 273 hitter, 2 homers, 43 RBIs. We'll play every day for these Stros. Bench behind the plate. Gary Nolan behind the mound. Here is the windup to Cabell. That's a 4-8. That's a fly ball to left. Foster there makes the catch, and that's 2 quick outs. And now brings up a young phenom, center fielder Cesar Cedeno. Again, plays every day, has great speed, good power, and he's getting a contact 300 hitter. Batting third in center field for the Stros. Bench behind the plate sets the target. Nolan looks in, and here's the pitch to Cedeno. And Cedeno hits a drive, the deep left field. Back goes Foster, and it's back, and it is gone. So George Foster lets it see it over the wall, and an opening day boom for Cedeno. So Cedeno homers, and the Astros take a quick 1-0 lead. Holy, he hit it right in the meat part of it. Nolan kind of put it up there, and Cedeno jumped on it. So first hit of the 1976 season will go to Cesar Cedeno, and it is for a long home run. So now here is Bob Watson, one of the big power hitters on this team, hitting .313, 16 homers, 102 RBIs. Bench sets the target. Nolan looks in, and here's the pitch. That's going to be a single to center field for Bob Watson, so he'll take first. And now here's the big catcher, Cliff Johnson. 226, 10 homers, 49 RBIs. Heathcliff, not your typical everyday catcher. He's a big man there behind the plate. Got some power. He's got a good eye. Bench behind the plate sets the target. Nolan from the stretch. Watson probably not going to steal. Here's the pitch to Johnson, and that is a ground ball to first. Perez gets it to the bag, and the first inning is over. But the Astros get a run on 2 hits. Big home run by Cedeno. Astros lead 1-0. For the Astros, Willie Howard in left, Cedeno in center, and Gross in right. Cabell at third, Metzger at short, Milbourne at second, Watson at first, Cliff Johnson behind the plate with the +2 arm, and James Rodney Richard with the hold of +3. He's a starter. He was 20-15, 2.75 ERA, almost 300 innings pitched. So James Rodney Richard is definitely going to be a superstar in the making. He's a big man out there, over 6'5", 6'6". He'll pitch this red lineup, your typical big red machine, defending world champs. Rose at third, Griffey at third, Morgan at second, bench behind the plate, Perez at first, Foster at left, Concepcion at short, Geronimo at center, and Gary Nolan batting ninth. Well, the Reds are ready to get started. Let's again get this started. Bottom of the first here at Riverfront. Let's get back to the game, and here we go. So here's Rose again, and that's going to be a hit him. So James Rodney Richard goes inside and hits him. So Rose on at first, and brings up the fielder Ken Griffey. Griffey, a .336 hitter. So he's a big part of this lineup. So runner on first, nobody out. Johnson behind the plate now goes out, talks to James Rodney. Richard looks in from the stretch, and it's going to be a hit and run to Larry Milbourne. Rose on the run. Milbourne, the first, gets him. So the Reds trying to move a runner over. Rose now at second with 1 man out. Here's second baseman Little Joe Morgan, defending MVP. So here comes Morgan. You can see him pumping the wrist out there. Runner on second and 1 out. Johnson sets the target. Richard from the stretch, and here's the pitch to Morgan. And Morgan walks, and there is now 2 on and 1 out. Oh, my goodness. So now here's the big catcher, Johnny Bench, the Binghamton Bomber, 234, 16 home runs, 74 runs batted in. Probably one of the finest receiving catchers in the league. So 2 on and 1 out for these Reds. Johnson behind the plate. Richard looks in, 2 on and 1 out. Pitch to Johnny. Johnny on a walk. So James Rodney Richard has hit Rose with a pitch. He went to second on the hit and run, and then Morgan and Bench have got on via the walk. Bases loaded, 1 out. Here's the first baseman, Tony Perez. Perez the batter, bases loaded, 1 out. Johnson behind the plate. Richard from the stretch. Here's the pitch to Perez, and he ground ball to short. Metzger will go for 2, but he can only get 1, but the run will score. So the Reds get a run on a fielder's choice. You can score that 6-4. It was Metzger to Milbourne. Perez beats the relay. Nice slide there. So now it's first and third, 2 outs for the left fielder, George Foster. He is going to be an absolute big part of this Red lineup. He adds more thump to this lineup, and he's going to be playing full-time in it. Johnson sets the target. Morgan, the leading runner, now at third. Perez at first, and there's 2 outs. Richard from the stretch, the pitch to Foster. Foster hits a fly to left. Howard there makes the catch, and the Reds could not do any more damage. 1 run, no hits. They do tie the game. They strand 2. At the end of 1, we have a 1-1 score. So again, we're in top of the second inning, and now D. Scott Howard has entered the fray. Thank you, D. Scott, from the left-hand side of our country. Hope all is well out there, as I know it is kind of getting chilly in my part. So we're now into the second inning here between the Astros and the Reds. Thank you for seeing all my friends come back. I've been busy at work and things going on, so just thought I'd get a couple some stuff done on days off and put things together. So here's Gross. He's actually an everyday player for these Astros in 76. We had 12 doubles, 3 triples, didn't hit any home runs, 27 ribbies. He's a left-handed hitter. Bench puts down the target, and Nolan looks in. Here's the pitch to Gross. Gross, ground ball to first. Perez takes it to the bag, and there's one away. Here's the second baseman, Larry Milbourne. He had 145 at-bats, 4 doubles, no homers, 7 RBIs, 248 on the season. Bench puts down the sign. Nolan looks in, and the pitch to Milbourne. 4-5 ground ball to second. Morgan gets it, gobbles it up, and throws to first, and there's 2 outs. And now here's the young shortstop, Roger Metzger. 210, 8. He's 13 doubles, 8 triples, no homers, 29 ribbies. You kind of know from the Roger Metzger story on what he's famous for. You should not play with power tools. I believe he cut off the fingertips in a tractor accident, I believe it was. Metzger puts down the sign. Nolan looks in. Here is the pitch to Roger. Roger, ground ball to third. Rose gets it in time. No, not in time. So I believe that was an infield base hit. Rose tried to get to it. He went to his left. Metzger with the long reach and beats it. Again, they're looking maybe at an instant replay, but nothing is called. So runner on first and 2 outs. And now here's James Rodney, 140 hitter. He's got some power in there. You don't lob up a curveball to him, think he's not going to swing at it. You can see he's got power on the card. Bench puts down the sign. Nolan looks in. Runner on first and 2 outs. Pitch to him. And that is going to be a strikeout for James Rodney Richard. Gary Nolan's curveball gets him, and the second inning is over. Ending in a half of the books here in Cincinnati. Houston 1, Reds 1. Bottom of the second here at the big ballpark in the Queen City. All right, we're back here as we'll go now to the second. Awesome contest between the Reds and the Astros. 1976 baseball, our centennial. It will now be Concepcion, Geronimo, and Nolan against Mr. Richard. So Richard on the mound looks in, gets time from Cliff Johnson, talking about 2 guys you don't want to get in a fight out there. They can get their own little basketball team together. Concepcion to hit. Concepcion, a 281 hitter. What he can provide on offense is a bonus with his glove. The little Venezuela native has become a staple on this Red defense, along with Morgan up the middle. You cannot beat. Johnson sets the target. Richard with the big windup, the pitch to Concepcion. He hits a line drive. That Cabell makes a leaping catch. 1 away. Here's a short center fielder, Cesar Geronimo. 24 doubles, 11 triples, 2 homers, 49 RBIs, a 307. They're good. He has good speed, decent power. Plays an excellent center field. Paul Blarish and has a cannon for an arm normally. Johnson sets the target. Richard looks in. 1 out here in the second. Pitch to Geronimo. 4-6, fly ball to right. Gross is there, doesn't have to move, and there's 2 away. Here is Gary Nolan. He is the opposite of James Rodney Richard. Nolan looks like he doesn't want to be here. About 80 at-bats, hits a buck 1, couple ribbies, that's about it. Johnson sets the target. Richard with a windup and the pitch, and that will be a strikeout for Nolan, as James Rodney Richard totally outclassed him. We play 2 at the ballpark here in Cincinnati. From the Queen City, Houston 1, Reds 1, right here on the Sports Time Machine Network. So far, the Reds 1 run on 3 hits, while the Reds 1 run on no hits. Top of the third here at the ballpark. Here is Willie Howard. Howard so far has struck out once. Bench puts down the sign. Gary Nolan in his 3rd inning of work, and here's the pitch. And that will be a fly ball to right. Griffey is there, makes the catch, and there's 1 away. Here is Enos Cabell. Cabell's 0 for 1. Bench sets him the target. Nolan looks in, and here's the windup to Cabell. Cabell, ground ball to short. Concepcion grabs it up and throws a strike to Perez for out number 2. Here's the offense for the Astros. Cesar Cedeno homered his last time up, the deep left center field. That Foster just clearly ran out of track. Bench puts down the target. Nolan looks in. Here's the pitch to Cedeno and pop the short. Concepcion waits for it, makes the catch, and the 3rd inning is over. We played 2.5 here in the Queen City. Astros 1, Reds 1. So now here is Mr. Pete Edward Rose. Hit by a pitch his first time up and scored his first time up. So Johnson sets in the target for him. Richard looks in, and here's the pitch to Rose. Rose, a line drive caught by Melbourne. Boy, he had to wait for that one. So now here's Ken Griffey. He grounded out. Hit and run was on his first time up. So he's officially 0 for 1. Johnson sets the target. Richard looks in. 1 out in the third to wind up to Griffey. And Griffey hits the line drive to right center field. That's going to be trouble. Cedeno will play down a hop. Griffey will go to second and stands there with the Reds' first hit of the ball game. It is a 1-out double. So now here's the second baseman, Joe Morgan. Walked his first time up. That's what he always does. 114 of them in the 76 campaign. Johnson sets the target. Richard from the stretch. Runner on second and 1 out. Pitch to Morgan. 4-6-5 ball to right. Gross makes the catch and there's 2 outs. Griffey with the throw, and Griffey goes to third. So Griffey basically steals third there. Wisely tags up. Runner on third and 2 outs. And now here's Johnny Bench. Let's see how the Astros take care of this. A dangerous hitter in Perez on deck. Johnson sets the target. Richard from the stretch. Runner on third and 2 out. Pitch to Bench. 4-8 and got him on strikes. Bench looks back at the home plate umpire, but he pulled the string on him. We played 3 here in the Queen City. It's Houston 1 and the Reds 1. Okay, hi everybody. Again, I'm going to just take this little quick time out if you can. Just be patient with me for a second. I'm going to just take a look at at some stuff here on the old phone, and I'm going to come back with you in 1 second. So please be patient, and I'm going to pull some interesting information, like I always like try to have for people out there. Like I'm going to pull up this 1976 season and just kind of see where we're at and what happens here. We all know this season did belong to the Cincinnati Reds. So give me a second as I take a look at things. Let's look at the schedule for this opening day for 1976 season. The Reds beat the Astros on this day 11-5. So let's look at the line score and some of the things that happened. It was the Reds 11 runs, 15 hits, no errors. The Astros 5 runs on 11 hits and 4 errors. 52,000 came up on this game. It took 2 hours and 41 minutes. April the 8th, 1976. So again, we'll kind of look at the Houston Astros offense and see what happens. So Daniel did hit the home run off Nolan like he did today, but hit it in the 6th inning. Bob Watson hit the home run off Nolan in the 6th. It looks like they went back to back, belly to belly. Now let's look at the Reds offense, and I have a feeling they had a ton of it. No home runs by the Reds. Perez did have 4 RBIs, Foster 2, Rose 2. Nolan did have 1. Morgan and Concepcion. Let's look at the pitching lines and how everyone did. Richard only went 4 innings, 5 hits, 4 runs. It was all earned. While Gary Nolan went 5 in the third, giving up 6 hits, 4 runs, 4 earned. And Pedro Pabon pitched a very nice 3 2/3, 5 hits, 1 run game, 2 registered to save. Let's look at the other information. The home plate umpire today is Lee Wire, Nick Closey at first, Paul Runge at second, and Ed Montague is at third. Those are some of your information about this game in history in 1976. We'll try to bring you other Monday Night Baseball type Saturday game of the week from this schedule, and then we'll try to keep things going for this. So Bench behind the plate, sets the target. Nolan looks in to Watson. Top of the 4th, here we go. Pitch to Watson, and that's a single to center. So Watson has his first 2 hits of the year. So Watson's on not much of a base stealer, to say the least. So that'll be an interesting little situation coming up here. Let's get back to the game. So okay, I can't. Oh, what did I just do? I lost the game. Here, give me a second to find my game again. Here we go. Is that it again? Yeah, game's back up. All right, we're good. All right, so here is Cliff Johnson, Big Heathcliff. So Bench behind the plate. Nolan looks in, runner on first, and nobody out. Pitch to Cliff, and that's a catch. Does Bench get to it? Yes, he does. Nice play by Johnny Bench. He makes the catch against the stands. 1 out in the fourth. Here's Greg Gross. Gross so far today, 0 for 1. Bench puts down the sign. Nolan looks in. Here's the pitch to Gross. And that will be a single to right field for Greg Gross. He gets his third. Watson will go to third without a throw. And it's first and third, 1 out. Here come the Astros. Top of the fourth, 1 out. Here's Larry Milbourne, 0 for 1. Let's see if Houston may go to a small game. May try for the hit, may try the squeeze, but the Reds aside in the fourth inning here. They're going to try to go for the infield in. So Rose, Concepcion, Morgan, and Perez in on these fast artificial surface. Bench behind the plate. No one looks in. First and third, 1 out. Pitch to Milbourne, and that's a ground ball to first. Perez will hold the runner. Gross will go to second, and second and third, 2 outs. So the infield in worked. So now let's go back to Roger Metzger. He is 1 for 1 in the ball game. Had a single back in the second. Second and third, 2 outs. Astros trying to break this tie early. Bentz puts down the sign. Nolan from the stretch looks in. Second and third, 2 out. Pitch to Metzger. That's a popped up. Morgan waits, makes the catch. And the Astros strand 2. And to win this game, the Astros cannot be stranding base runners. Let's go to the bottom of the fourth here in the Queen City, Riverfront Stadium. It's Houston 1, Cincinnati 1. Houston 1 run, 5 hits, while the Reds have 1 run on only 1 hit. So here's Perez. He's 0 for 1, has the game's only RBI for Cincinnati. Johnson sets the sign. James, Rodney, Richard, the big leg kick and pitch. And that is a line drive base hit for more Perez. It's in the gap. Perez around first. He'll go for 2, and he just gets in there ahead of the throw. So Perez with a stand-up double. They have their second hit of the ball game. And now here is George Foster. Makes this lineup so deep when you can go 6, 7 deep with this much talent. Johnson puts down the sign. Richard from the stretch. Runner on second. Nobody out. Pitch to Foster and a walk to Foster. So Reds now with 2 on and no out. Dave Concepcion, the batter. We'll see if the Reds maybe decide to bunt here, try to get the runners over. Concepcion lined out his last month. He actually lined out. That would have been a max. So it could have been a double or triple play. So Johnson sets the sign. Richard from the stretch, first and second, nobody out. And Concepcion does lay the bunt down. So Sparky Anderson playing small ball. Perez the third, Foster the second, and Concepcion does what he's asked to do. So second and third, 1 out for the center fielder Geronimo. Nolan is on deck. Does the Houston manager decide maybe it's time for them to maybe walk Geronimo? It's early in the season, start small managing, but you don't want to give up a big inning here. Johnson sets the target. Richard from the stretch, second and third, 1 out. And Geronimo is popped up. He was going to square around. Cliff Johnson makes the catch, and this time it was not well done. It looks like it was a safety squeeze. Perez came running, saw the pop-up, and headed back. So now the Reds with second and third have put themselves in a very bad situation. That might have been something Geronimo called on his own. I don't know if Sparky would have called that. Sparky's is talking to Cesar right now. It looks like a very one-sided conversation. So Johnson sets in the target. Richard from the stretch, second and third, 2 outs. Pitch to Nolan, and that's all 6 ground ball. Watson makes the play, and the Reds do the Astros a favor and do not score. We played 4 from Cincinnati. It's 1 run each for the Astros and the Reds. WKRP here in Cincinnati. It is the Astros at 1 run on 5 hits, while the Reds 1 run on 2 hits. Venus Flytrap here calling the action with Dr. Johnny Fever. So top of the 5th here in the booth, James, Rodney, Richard will be followed by Willie Howard and Enos Cabell. Richard, the batter, 0 for 1, struck out, but remember, Richard does swing the bat well. Bench puts down the target. Nolan looks in. Here's the pitch to Richard. That's a ground ball back to Nolan. Oh, self-defense, picks it up and throws a strike to Perez for 1 out here in the 5th. Here is Willie Howard. 1 out here in the 5th. This game is brought to you by Pepsi, the greatest drink in the world. Bench puts down the sign. Nolan puts, we ready. Here's a pitch to Howard. Howard, 4-8 line drive base hit for Willie Howard. So his third at bat ends up being a base hit. He's got a little more speed than most of these Astros. But with Johnny Bench behind the plate, you're not going to steal a lot. Runner on first, 1 out. Here's Cabell. He's 0 for 2. Bench puts down the sign. Nolan from the stretch. Here's the pitch to Enos. That'll be a ground ball to short. Concepcion turning for 2. Yes, he does. Gets it to Morgan, who makes a perfect pivot to Perez. And 6-4-3. Pitcher's best friend. We go to the bottom of the 5th. It is 1-1 your score here from the Queen City. Astros 1 and the Reds 1. So last of the 5th. And it's Al Red Sox fan here. Hello, Al. Welcome to the Queen City. As 1976, STRAT Night Baseball bring live coverage. Here is Pete Rose. Rose 0 for 1, a run scored. Johnson puts down the sign. Richard, a big-time pitcher, gives a sign to switch hitting Rose. 5-11, ground ball second. Morgan's got it. Does he get him? Yes, Milborn. He's a 4, but he gobbled it up, stayed with it, and threw him out. Boy, that turf ate him up. 1 out here in the 5th. Here is Ken Griffey, 1 for 2 with a double. Johnson sets the sign for him. He goes over the signs. Richard, there's no pitch count here. You're getting the signs with the fingers. Richard with the wind up and pitch to Griffey. That's a 3-9 and a walk to Griffey with 1 out. So Griffey goes on the first. Let's see if Griffey might run. He has a lot more speed. +3 from Richard, +2 from Cliffy. Let's see if the Reds trying to run here. Here's Morgan. He's 0 for 1 as a walk, and he's flying out in the 3rd. Defending National League MVP. Johnson puts down the sign to Richard from the stretch and the pitch. And here comes the throw, and Griffey just steals it on both Richard and Johnson. Boy, that wasn't even close. So Griffey with a monster jump gets down there. Quick slide and pops up. I don't think they even made an attempt to throw him out. Runner on second, 1 out for Morgan. Now it makes it interesting with Perez and Bench coming up. Johnson goes over it. Richard from the stretch. Runner on second and 1 out. And the pitch. And that will be a ground ball second. Milborn, does he get it? Yes, it's through for a base hit. Runner from second will score. And it is 1-0. It is now 2-1 Cincinnati. That was, folks, a line drive scoops up on the run. Runs it. Let's see what it was. It was a terrific play. It was a runner held effect. So the second baseman had a hold, so he was going over. That cleared the hole, and Morgan hit it right between where the first and second baseman was. That's how you hit against the shift. 2-1 Cincinnati here in the 5th, and now here's Johnny Bench. Runner on first and no out. Again, Morgan getting a huge lead. He's almost on the grassy part of this turf. Johnson sets in. Richard better look back at him. Here's the pitch, and here goes Morgan. He steals it directly. So Morgan with a stolen base. You can tell Cincinnati almost can see a buck through the visor here. They see blood right now. The Reds are now stolen 2 bases in this inning. Morgan in scoring position. And Bench is now up here. The runner on second, 1 out. This big red machine leading 2-1. 1 out here in the 5th. Johnson sets down the target. Richard from the stretch. Runner on second. And he was trying to steal third, and he got gunned this time. Richard, quick pitch. Johnson came out of the chute, made it, threw it down. Cabell laid an instantaneous tag on him. So the Reds, again, kind of running themselves out of this inning. So Bench now comes up with 2 outs and nobody on. Johnson sets the target. Richard looks in, and the pitch. 3-3, ground ball to short. Metzger throws them out, and the Reds lead 2-1. We play the 6th. So it's Metzger, Watson, Johnson here in the 6th. So Bench puts down the sign for him. Gary Nolan here in the 6th. Pitch to Cedeno. 4-10, ground ball to third. Rose got it. Throws. Got him. Good play from Rose. Rose to Morgan for 1 out in the 6th. Watson 2 for 2 in the ball game. Bench puts down the sign. No one looks in. And the wind up to Watson. 2-8 ground ball to third. Rose has got it. Throws to Perez, and that's out number 2 in the 6th. So now here's the catcher, Cliff Johnson. Johnson 0 for 2. So far, Nolan after that first inning home run, Cedeno has calmed down. Bench puts down the sign. Nolan with the lineup and the pitch, and that is going to be a walk to Cliff Johnson. So a 2-out walk to Johnson. And now here is Greg Gross. Gross has grounded out in the 2nd and singled back in the 4th. Johnson to take a lead off. Bench puts down the signs. Nolan looks back at Johnson. Here is the pitch to Gross. And that is going to be a deep shot to left field. Foster's not to play this one. Here comes Johnson. Throw at the plate. He is gunned out at the plate. Holy cow, what a play from the left fielder. Foster gets in the Concepcion, throws home, and Betts applied the tag. So again, the Houston Astros run themselves out of the inning. We go to the bottom of the 6th inning. Reds 2, Astros 1. As we go to the bottom of the 6th inning, it's the Astros 1 run on 7 hits, while the Reds making the best out of things with 2 runs on 3 hits. Great play by Foster to Concepcion to Bench, who applies the tag and gets Cliff Johnson out. So last of the 6th, Johnson puts down the sign for him. Richard with the big head kick pitch. 6-8 and a walk. So that's a big walk here in the 6th. 2-1 Reds. So runner on first, 2 outs. Reds with the lead. Johnson puts down the sign. Richard from the stretch. Perez not much of a base stealer. Richard Steele's got to watch that big leg kick of his. It seems costing him trouble last inning. Here's the pitch to Foster. And that's a ground ball. That should be another base hit. Again, the runner held effect, went through. 1st and 3rd, nobody out. So Perez at 3rd and Foster at 1st. 1st and 3rd, nobody outs. Again, the Cincinnati Reds taking advantage of the effects here at the ballpark. Larry Milbourne went to cover. It totally left the spot wide open. George Foster hit the ball the other way inside. Out at the right field. Gross cannot come up with the play. And the Reds again have 1st and 3rd, nobody out. Here's Concepcion. The Astros are going to have to play the infield in. So DeBell and Metzger is in on the turf. Milbourne and Watson in on the right. Concepcion the bat. Johnson puts down the signs. Richard from the stretch. Here's the pitch. And Foster just stole 2nd. Unbelievable. These Reds are really starting to eat up at Richard and Johnson combination, really stealing bases. 2nd and 3rd, no out. Infield stays in, but the force is off. Johnson sets the target. Richard's going to have to be sure he does not throw a wild pitch here. And it looks like it's going to be a squeeze from Concepcion. And he does better. Oh, no. Great play by Cabell. He came home, and Cliff Johnson withstood the thud. And he gets the runner at 3rd. Oh, my goodness. So Concepcion squares around. He bunts it. Fielded by Cabell. He's throwing for the lead runner. Fielder's choice to the 3rd baseman. You're going to call that 5-2. So Perez is out. Foster takes 3rd. Concepcion now at 1st. 1st and 3rd and 1 out. And again, the Reds playing small ball with this lineup of theirs. So again, 1st and 3rd, 1 out. Let's see if they can swing the bat here. Again, late hitting Gary Nolan on deck. Richard getting a lot of breaks here with the bad managing skills of Sparky Anderson on his side. Not playing aggressive here. Johnson sets the target. Richard from the stretch. 1st and 3rd, 1 out. And again, Concepcion, another stolen base for these Reds. I believe that is 4 for today. We'll take a look at the statistics on this one. Unbelievable. They have stolen 4 out of 5 bases. And here comes the Houston Astros pitching coach. He'll come out and talk to him. You can tell Richard is trying to remain calm out there. Cliffy's out with James Rodney. 2nd and 3rd, 1 out. 2-1 Reds. Again, the Reds now, is this an opportunity where you walk Geronimo and pitch to Nolan? Let's see. The infield is in. You don't want Geronimo to bounce one over the infield in here. Johnson puts down the sign. Richard from the stretch. Here's the pitch to Geronimo. And that is going to be hit him. Oh, that might have been a little bit intentional. It kind of was like the intentional walk there instead of an intentional beaming as Richard goes inside. That does not going to settle well with these Reds. Fans are really booing. Bases loaded, one out in the sixth. Reds holding on to a 2-1 lead. But here's a very light-hitting Gary Nolan. He's 0 for 2 in the ball game. I don't think Sparky bats for Nolan here. Let's see. Johnson sets the target. Richard from the stretch. Let's see what the decision is. And that is going to be a strikeout for Gary Nolan. Had no chance at that fastball. There's 2 outs in the sixth, but now James Rodney Richards got to deal with Peter Edward Rose. Rose in the ball game got hit by a pitch in the first, lined out in the third, grounded out in the fifth. Bases loaded, 2-1 Cincinnati, opening day 1976. Cliff Johnson, he comes up with the bases loaded. Griffey's 1 for 2, doubled back in the third, walked and fit on twice. Johnson sets the targeted. Richard from the stretch. Bases loaded. Reds have tacked on a run here in the sixth. And that's going to be a line drive. Watson right there and possibly saves 2 runs. But the Reds add 1. They leave the bases loaded. We played 6. It's very hostile here in the Queen City. Reds lead 3-1. At the end of 6, the Reds 3 runs on 4 hits, while the Astros 1 run on 7 hits. 7th inning here on the Sports Time Machine. We bring you baseball here. How's everyone doing? DJ John is joining the broadcast. Thank you, DJ John. All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming in and watching this broadcast here. We're bringing you a very exciting 1976 game of the week. So here is Larry Milbourne. He's 0 for 2. He's grounded out twice. It'll be Metzger, and I'm guessing a pinch hitter for Richard in the 7th, but we'll see how things go. So bench puts down the sign. Nolan looks in. Now he's on a 3-1 lead. Here's the pitch of the switch hitter, Milbourne. That's a strikeout and 1 away. So Gary Nolan gets his 3rd strikeout, gets the leadoff man on. Here is Mr. Roger Metzger, 1 for 2. He singled and popped out. Metzger, I believe, a switch hitter. He is. The Astros have 3 switch hitters in the lineup and 1 pure lefty. Bench puts down the sign. Nolan looks in. Here is the pitch. And that is going to be a ground ball back to Nolan. He's a 4. Oh, he gobbled it. He missed it. Oh, it rolls away. Is that a hit or an error? I believe that is an infield hit. Oh, my goodness. It glanced off his glove and rolls away. He has himself an infield hit. So Nolan unable to field it, and that was a gift by our official score. So Metzger has base hit number 8 for Houston. They now bring the tying runner on. I don't see Richard bunting here. I don't see him swinging away. Let's see if they bring a pinch hitter here. Bench puts down the sign. Nolan from the stretch. They are going to bat for Richard. It's going to be Jim DeVannen. DeVannen hit 291 home run, 20 RBIs. Right-handed hitter, so Richard's day is done. Bench puts down the sign. Nolan from the stretch. Here's the pitch to DeVannen. 2-7 double play ball. Concepcion Flynn, the Perez double play, 6-4-3. So we go to the bottom of the 7th here at the ballpark at 3-1 Cincinnati. Oh, my goodness. Look at this pitcher's card. So Jose Sosa, who actually did pitch in the opener here, will get another chance. Oh, my. He was no record, 6.94 ERA, 16 hits in 12 innings. Boy, that card just, about ready to get smoked on. So batting for the Reds will be Doug Flynn, followed by Bench and Perez. Looks like they brought in Bench, Flynn in. Why would Doug Flynn be brought in this game? Interesting. I wonder if Joe Morgan had gotten hurt. Let's check out some statistics. We still got to give you stats. Let's see. Wow, Morgan was defensively subbed by Doug Flynn. Oh my goodness. Get your Get your newspaper out for that one. That is ridiculously stupid. So unless something was wrong with little Joe. So let's see. So James Rodney Richards, 6 innings, 4 hits, 3 walks, 3 earned. He walked 6, which was his down part. And he also gave up 4 stolen bases. So now Sosa's a +8. It's not going to get any better. Let's see how it happens here. Doug Flynn is going to lead off. Again, the stupidity just continues here. So Johnson puts down the sign. Sosa from the windup hits to Flynn. 1-7. It struck Doug Flynn out. My guess is Joe Morgan may have had a little bit of an ailment, a flu bug. I know it's been a little bit cool here in Cincinnati for an early April start. 1 out here in the 7th. More bench to bat. He's 0 for 2 with a walk. Johnson puts down the sign. Sosa with the pitch to Johnny Bench. That's a strikeout. So Sosa gets 2 strikeouts, even with that crazy card. So 2 outs in the 7th. Here's Perez, 1 for 2 with a double. Johnson puts down the sign. Sosa, the big right-hander, and the pitch to Perez. And that's a ground ball to Milbourne. Makes the play. We played 7 here in Cincinnati. It is 3-1 Reds. Top of the 8th. Reds 3 runs on 4 hits, while the Astros have 1 run on 8 hits. Let's make one is doing well here as we enter the 8th inning. Hello, everybody. Double D here. Thank you so much for asking me to come back. Yes, thank you, Beatles, for coming in. Wow, I've got some interesting, very luminaries in my chat today. Thank you so much. They saw me on and they want to wish me well. That is a great sign for keeping on the broadcast. Here's Willie Howard. He'll bat against Will McInerney's come in. So it looks like Gary Nolan's day is done. It's like, again, it's a cool afternoon here in the Queen City, so don't want to push your pitchers. Nolan, 7 innings, 8 hits, 1 run. It was earned, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts. Another day at the ballpark for Mr. Nolan. So top of the 8th, there'll be Howard, Cabell, and Cedeno. The bat against the left-hander, McInerney. So Bench puts down the sign. McInerney looks in. Here's the pitch to Howard. And that is a single to left field. So Willie Howard actually has his 2nd hit of the ball game. He's 2 for 4. Astros with their 9th hit in the ball game. They trail by a couple. So now here's the 3rd baseman, Enos Cabell. He's flying out, ground that, and into a double play. That's one thing Houston wants to avoid here. No outs in the 8th and down a couple runs. Bench puts down the sign. McInerney from the stretch. Here's the pitch to Cabell. 4-8 single to center field. So McInerney not fooling anybody. Howard stops at second. 1st and 2nd, no outs. And the Houston Astros are getting back in this game. So here's Cedeno now. He homered in the 1st to give the Astros a quick early lead, then popped up and grounded out. 1st and 2nd, nobody out. The Astros trying to get back in this game. Bench puts down the sign. McInerney looks in. 1st and 2nd, nobody out. Pitch to Cedeno. Will be a ground ball to Perez. Takes it to the bag himself. Runners will advance, and it's 2nd and 3rd, 1 out for the Astros. So now here's Bob Watson. 2nd, he's 2 for 3. Single the 1st, single the 4th. Let's see if he can get a big hit here. Watson, a very big hitter against left-handers. Let's see if Sparky goes against that. Maybe brings a righty in here. McInerney usually is better against lefties. It is 1 out in the 8th. Astros trailing by 2. He sees a tying run with Cabell at 2nd. Bench puts down the sign. Will McInerney from the stretch. Here's the pitch to Watson. And he gets him. Ground ball to Flynn. He gets it. Goes to 1st. Will get the runner home. And it's not. Oh, he did it. It's an error on Doug Flynn. You brought him in the plate defense. And Doug Flynn ate him alive off that turf. He could not make the play. Run scores. And the Reds take a 3-2 lead. Holy cow. So now Enos Cabell's at 3rd's the tying run. 1st and 3rd, 1 out for Cliff Johnson. Unbelievable. Will McInerney can't believe it. Sparky Anderson's beside himself. Bench puts down the sign. McInerney now from the stretch. 1st and 3rd, 1 out. Infield in. Reds try not to get this lead blown up here in the 8th. And Cruz will come in. A young little speedster, Jose Cruz, will come in and run for the runner at first. So Bill Verdon trying to bring his bench out there. Cruz is going to try to bring some speed out there. So bench puts the sign down. McEnany first and third, one out. The pitch to Cliff. And that is a single to center field. We got a tie ball game. So the Houston Astros with a 2-run eighth tie this game up. It is now first and second, one out. Cruz at second, Johnson at first. It's a 3-3 ball game here at the ballpark. So now Greg Gross, the batter, normally doesn't hit left-handed pitching well. With 2 on and 1 out, let's see if the Astros make a change here as the red lead has evaporated. So Gary Nolan's excellent start has been for naught. Bench puts down the sign. McEnany from the stretch, first and second, 1 out. And the pitch, and he gets a line drive caught by Concepcion. So now 2 outs, first and second for Larry Milbourne. A little stronger hit, I believe, against lefties. Can get the barrel on the bat. First and second, 2 outs, tied at 3. Astros out hitting Houston 11-4, and the Astros have made one faithful error. Bench puts down the sign. McEnany from the stretch. First and second, 2 out, pitch to Milbourne. Line drive, Rose with a diving catch and possibly saves the game. But the Astros score 2. We go to the bottom of the 8th. New ball game here at the Queen City. Astros 3 and the Reds 3. Holy cow. All right, folks, again, let's go to the bottom of the 8th inning here. Foster, Concepcion, Geronimo again, Jose Sosa. He's in his second inning of work. Johnson puts down the sign. Sosa looks in, and the windup. 1-4. Oh, ground ball to short. Metzger's got it. Throws to Dave Roberts. So Dave Roberts has come in the game for Watson, who was a pinch run for. Roberts is a 5'25". That's where you don't probably have the player to come in off the bench and play first base. So Roberts is now at first. So now the only defensive change is Roberts on at first. Sosa still pitching here in the 8th. So here's Concepcion. He's 0 for 2, including a sac bunt. Johnson puts down the sign. Sosa with a wind-up pitch to Concepcion. Line drive at Milbourne for out number 2. So here's Geronimo. He's fine out, popped up, and took a hit by pitch to the ribs back in the 6th inning. Johnson puts down the sign. Sosa looks in from the windup and pitches to Geronimo. Fly ball to center. Cedeno's there, and a 1-2-3 inning for the Astros. We head to the 9th. We do not play the runner on second in extra innings. It is 3-3 is your score. Houston, 3 runs, 11 hits, and no errors. The Reds, 3 runs on 4 hits and 1 error. Metzger, a pinch hitter for Sosa, who was really good in his 2 innings. And Willie Howard will bat for the Houston 9th here in the 9th. McEnany's still out there. Boy, he had a rough first inning. I'm surprised the Verdon kept I'm surprised Sparky Anderson kept McEnany out there. Bench puts down the sign. McEnany looks in. Here's the pitch to Metzger. Metzger, ground ball to short. Concepcion's got it. Throws him out. 1 out in the 9th. So now here's Jorge Sosa. He'll be called back, most likely. He will be. And it'll be Ken Boswell, the former Met. 126 at-bats, hit 262 on the season. Will bat. He's a left-handed batter. So Bench puts down the sign. McEnany looks in. Left on left. Here is the pitch from McEnany. 6-7. Struck him out. 2 outs in the 9th. And now here's Willie Howard. 2 singles back in the 5th and back in the 8th. If they can't score, the Reds will have a chance to walk it off here in the 9th. Bench puts down the sign. McEnany looks in. Here's the pitch to Howard. 3-7, struck him out. Astros cannot do anything in the 9th. Let's go to the bottom of the 9th. It is 3-3. Tom Griffin will come in for the Astros. He looks like to be more of a long man. Again, the Astros will have to go then again an outfield not too comfortable. Ken Boswell will go in and play left, and he is a 4-16. Cedeno and Gross, followed by Cabell, Metzger, Milbourne, and Roberts. Johnson still behind the plate, and Tom Griffin is your pitcher. The Reds will set up a pinch hitter for McEnany, Rose, and Griffey here in the bottom of the 9th. So here's your pinch hitter for Reds. It will be the veteran Mike Lum, a 228 hitter, 3 homers, 20 RBIs. He's a left-handed batter here against Griffin. Johnson puts down the sign. Griffin looks in. Here's the pitch to Mike Lum. 1-9. Ground ball to short. Metzger's got it. Throws him out. And you have one away. Here is Peter Edward Rose. He had a bases loaded walk back in the sixth. He's grounded out, lined out, and he got led off the game by getting hit by a pitch and scoring. So Johnson puts down the sign. Griffin looks in. Here's the pitch to Rose. And that will be a base hit for Peter Edward Rose. So Rose is on. It will now be Griffey, 1 for 3 with a double. Griffey doubled in the third, then he walked in the fifth. So Griffey steps up against the right-hander, Tom Griffin. Runner on first and 1 out. Johnson puts down the sign. Griffin from the stretch. And here's the steal it. They do. And Cliff Johnson's throw goes in the center field. Rose pops up. He'll hit the third. Head first slide. And look at the Reds. They have a runner on third with 1 out with the game-winning run. So Ken Griffey, the Reds using the running game, their 5th stolen base of the day, and they took advantage of it. So Johnson now, he's got to make the perfect pitch for Griffin here. Puts down the sign. Griffin from the stretch. Rose takes the lead off third. Here's the pitch. Suicide squeeze by Griffey. Runner scores. Pete Rose dives into the plate ahead of the throw, and the Cincinnati Reds walk off on a squeeze play to win this game by the score of 4-3. Holy cow, this game has been a lot of sacrifices. The National League look of this game as the Reds win this one. They were up 3-1 going into the 8th inning when the Astros came back with 2 of their own, but the Reds win it in the 9th on a single by Rose, stole second, went the third on the throwing error, and then scored on the suicide squeeze by Ken Griffey. Gets the ribby also. So again, pitching line, James Rodney Richard goes 6 innings, 4 hits, 3 runs, 3 earned. The 6 walks really hurt him. 3 strikeouts. Sosa went 2 strong innings, shockingly. Tom Griffin didn't get anyone out, theoretically. 1/3, 1 hit, 1 run. It was all he needed. McAnee came in after a strong performance by Nolan with 2 innings, 3 hits, 2 runs, 1 was earned, and that gave the win to McAnee, unfortunately, and a blown save at the same time. Doubles by Gross, Griffey, and Perez. Homered by Cedeno. RBIs in the ballgame: Cedeno, Watson, Johnson, Rose, Griffey, Morgan, and Perez. The Reds really took advantage with the stolen base today. Rose, Griffey, Morgan, Foster, Concepcion all stole. Morgan thrown out trying to steal also. Well, folks, that is the ball game here from the ballpark. I want to thank everybody again for appreciation for coming in and seeing me this game again. Hopefully I'll be back. More baseball down the road. Again, thank you for coming back. I appreciate everybody. This is a Sports Time Machine for 1976 opening day for STRAT MATIC Baseball, the best game in town, in my opinion. Play it all the time. Many leagues I'm in. It's a great game, folks. Again, this was a great one. I think overemphasis on Sparky Anderson on the bunting, but again, this is a National League ballpark, so National League baseball. So we'll talk to you later. Talk to you again. This is Mike saying good night. We'll